welcome back to Stream It. Today I'm just going to jump right into the opening question so that we can dive right into our two segments, which I feel like we're pretty excited about today.
We're not wasting any time today.
Yeah, we're not wasting any time.
It's all
We're
business.
going right in. So my question today is, if you could only have one streaming service, which would it be?
That's a doozy.
There's a lot to consider.
Yeah. Two pop into my head.
Okay.
If I can kick off the discussion here, I think the obvious choice is Netflix, just because of its.
It was It was like the first one.
Yeah, and there's just so much on there, just movies, shows, documentaries, originals, stuff that's from networks like The Office and Friends and all that. Not anymore, but just so many shows. So that one I feel like is the obvious one, but I don't know. HBO Max is my other one. It's just so good. The movies and all those shows that are like high quality, super well done, and like stuff that you go back to too. You know what I mean? It's not just a one-time thing. So that'd be tough not to have on demand, because I feel like if you had HBO the channel, you're not catching everything that they've put out. You need to go back to it on your time and view it all. So I think I'm gonna go with HBO Max. If are we picking?
Yeah, that's the question.
Which would it be for me? HBO Max.
I agree completely.
Whoa!
Wow.
Yeah. Like, well, the way I look at it is
So much for my
the
hot take.
prestige show on HBO is such good quality all the time. Like, it went from The Sopranos to The Wire to Game of Thrones. There's more in there, but those types of shows that are the biggest shows in the world, like,
And real like blockbuster movies that.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, well,
you
that's
go
the
to
other thing
theater to
is
see, and then like are available on HBO.
now with all the Warner Brothers, and they make their own movies too. Like, there are a lot of HBO originals. I think the library they have now is nuts. It could be like, I want to watch Godzilla King of the Monsters, or you want to watch like the original
Spoiler alert.
or you want to watch like the original Godzilla from like the 40s. It's all on there. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And then they have the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh yeah.
They had the Harry Potter movies, but then they got bounced. But yeah, I think
Is
it's
Harry Potter Warner Brother?
yes. I think so.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I kind of remember seeing the WB before
Right. The other thing, if you are not picking Netflix, just to finish up with the HBO thing, is you're prioritizing that quality content, and like you could go to like a lot of the Netflix shows have like, they could be network shows, you know what I mean, like sitcoms and stuff like that you could get there. So if you wanted your still to have like your big movies and your super well done shows, you'd have your HBO Max, and then everything else you can just watch on TV.
I agree.
But let's hear what Sarah has to say.
I'm like rethinking.
We presented quite a case as a united front as
Yes.
well.
Because it is like the quality versus quantity thing with HBO.
Really, that's the discussion. Yeah.
I was also thinking Hulu though, because you have no other way to really watch like current shows that are on now. Because
On
Netflix will
demand.
either get them like a year later, or they just won't get them. But if you don't have on demand, and I feel like a lot of people don't anymore.
Right.
Like we do, but we have like limited where like half the stuff it's like, oh, you gotta buy this for $5.99. I'm like, I'm
Right,
not
right.
gonna buy an episode.
I guess to me, on demand means it is a streaming thing. Like I know that like your cable provider has like an on demand section, but like Hulu is network shows on demand.
But
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like that's what I. That's
Yeah,
what I
the
think.
thing is about on demand now is like Amazon has everything. If you're like gonna pay for the season,
Yeah.
so you don't need it with like your cable.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying like streaming is on demand. Like
Yeah.
I feel like my heart is in Netflix.
I was gonna say it'd be off-brand if you didn't say Netflix.
I know. I think I most consistently am on Netflix, even if I have like favorite things that I like am waiting for like weekly to come out on like Hulu or like movies for HBO. I'm like, I feel like I'm always on Netflix.
Yeah. Also, quick shout out to Disney Plus. Just like, that's a great amount of really good quality content.
Well, the fact that it would be amazing if it was Disney and Pixar and just all those classic movies, but the fact that they added Star Wars and Marvel is nuts.
That is pretty sweet.
It's like crazy that all of those things are in one spot.
I feel like all those things are also available, and you maybe have already seen, like, they're like must-sees, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know that I would pick it here, but that's why I gave it a shout out, because it also has like all the classic Disney stuff. So if you're a Disney fan, like, you're gonna want that.
I bet.
Or if you have a young child that you
I was just gonna say
to experience
young young families are probably like Disney Plus. If we were to get one, it would be Disney Plus.
Right, I think so. Yeah.
For me, it's like the go-to if I'm doing something and I want something in the background, but I don't need to pay attention. It's kind of Disney Plus.
Because you've seen it.
Yeah, lately I've just been playing like a bunch of the Marvel ones.
Yeah.
If I'm doing something else.
Little Moana, Frozen. Yeah. You're jamming.
All right, let's just jump right into a new segment on Stream It called Do We Buy the Hype?
Yeah.
We're going to go through, we have 5, right? 5 of what we think are the top. Are they all Netflix? Yeah.
They are all Netflix, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
The top Netflix shows. Some of them we got from a list that was proven to be the top, but we hadn't seen some of them, so we made our own list that is Stranger Things, Big Mouth, Space Force, The Witcher, and Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, all those at some point had a decent amount of hype around them, whether it was because they like advertised for them and there was commercials and like amped it up, or if it was released and then a ton of people watched it and it was like, oh, I gotta go check it out. Or if they just have had so many views on Netflix that it's like a long-standing
like
good
the
show.
top 10. I feel like that's always, like these were all definitely in the top 10.
At some point, yeah.
So I also included the Rotten Tomatoes score of each of them, just so we kind of have something to like base it off of, but some of them surprised me.
Well, so I was looking at that and I'm thinking like, okay, Rotten Tomatoes, like we could all go in and throw a rating on something like Stranger Things and like anyone can do it.
100.
Right. No, but I'm looking at each of these and I'm like, I kind of agree with every one of them. One I see is like a little low,
extreme.
a little low, but the other ones I kind of agree with.
Yeah, for the most part I do. It surprised me that, I mean, should I just jump right in?
Yeah, let's just jump right in.
It surprised me that Big Mouth has a 99% and Stranger Things has a 93%.
I think that's a lot of like.
It's just different.
Right. Stranger Things is, I think, more critically looked at, like storytelling.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think that is like what you're getting at there. And then Big Mouth is like, this is funny, this is easy to watch, it's over the top.
And it's like, for what it is, it's one of the best. That's
right.
probably why it hits the 99.
That's true. And the cast is like crazy.
Yeah.
When you look at the people doing the voices in that, you're like, this is nuts. And like what they sign up for, like Kristen Wiig's character is like, come on.
That is like, of all the episodes, that one sticks out the most in my head. So I had 4, I guess, like rankings we could give this, so we can buy the hype. We can say that it exceeds the hype. We can say it was all right. And then we can say it's down the pipe.
Down the pipe.
Want to start with Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it came out in 2016. I remember it was kind of like it came out of nowhere. And I just heard about it from like random people throughout like the summer were like, oh, have you seen that show Stranger Things? Like, and it was never like, it's the best show in the world. It was just like, you should like check it out. It's kind of weird. It's like a bunch of kids. And I remember like, I was like, oh, like a kid cast? Like, no thanks. And then I finally saw it, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, why is no one talking about this? And then I feel like it blew up.
I remember first seeing it from memes of the lights.
Yeah.
Like the Christmas lights that Joyce tacked up on the wall with the alphabet to find Will. Mm-hmm. I saw memes of that, and I was like,
after us, right?
I watched Stranger Things right when it happened. I think I watched season 2. I was like
were catching up on
2 or
something.
3. I was slower than you guys, just like for some weird reason. But I saw the memes, and I was like, I just don't get this. And it was starting to like you described it here, slow burn. I was like, this is everywhere. I have to watch it.
Yeah.
I think I liked off the bat the like nostalgic. It kind of reminded me of, what's the show from Judd Apatow?
Freaks and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks. The Weirs. I forget what the little boy's name is, but Sam Weir
Yeah,
reminds me of
Mike.
And I was like, oh yeah, and like they're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and it had that like nostalgic vibe to it, which was cool, and I think a lot of people like to tap into it and see. Then I think it was just the story is really, really well done, unique, and my other big thing is Millie Bobby Brown is very good, and I think she brought a lot of, like, her character just brought a lot to the show, and everyone wanted to know more, and her backstory, and like I think that created a lot of the like hype and stuff. So those 3 things I think are what started it going for me, or where I see it getting its legs.
Yeah, I remember it. Now that you mentioned the memes, I think that I started to see those too before I really knew what it was. Because I remember there was one that was like, do you remember, like, Eminem? It was like an Eminem meme comparing 11 to like
Oh yeah.
Eminem when he was like bald.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this like little kid that's bald that's everywhere on Instagram?
Yeah. It just was so like buy the hype, exceed the hype. It was all right down the pipe. It totally exceeded it because it wasn't like some of the other shows that we're going to talk about that were like advertised. It like dropped. Netflix's like interface was different, so like it didn't have that preview. It's like, this is the big thing this week.
Yeah.
That starts auto playing. It was there, and you started to see it, and you're like, okay, I'll watch it, see if it's any good. And I feel like for most people, it's like, this is better than I thought people were talking about it.
What about season 2? The hype, like once it was established.
Season 2 was, they brought in, what's his name? Billy? And what's her name? Max. I liked it, but not as much. I think season 1 of Stranger Things is one of the best seasons of any television show.
Yes.
So I think it's tough to...
So season 2 was like the pumpkin patch thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Season 2, I would 100%, I would say just keep watching it. Like, it's just awesome. It's not one of those shows where it's like, I don't know, after like season 4, you can stop, you know?
Yeah. I guess I think that season 3 maybe had the most like hype because they had 2 successful good seasons and then a huge following at that point. And so season 3 comes in and they got the summer, the 4th of July. Wasn't it like a year and a half since they had released it the previous season? So I think that like that was probably the peak of the hype. But I think that season 1 was awesome, and then season 3, I would go 1, 3, 2 in order of seasons I liked. 2 was good, but that's just like I thought season 3 was like cool how they were all doing their own separate things and then came back and and so yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm saying I'm agreeing with you that it exceeds the hype because even at its peak hype at the beginning of season 3, they came in and delivered a great season. So
Yeah, and I think like Hopper was awesome in season 3, and it was kind of like a change. It was like, okay, this is like such a Hopper and Elle season.
they keep it fresh and moving and good and like.
Yeah, they like lean into a new genre in like every season. Like I feel like
And a new holiday.
Yeah, like 3 was a big like action, a little more like not gory, but like a little more like monster fighting, kind of gross, like. And then season 2 was like character building. That's like how I kind of saw it. Like they introduced 2 new ones, and then it's just like Mike is sad and 11 is gone. But I did love season 2. I bought the hype.
Steve was like the babysitter in that one, right?
Oh yeah, that was like the big turnaround for Steve.
Yeah, I've been
I
Team
think the
Steve
like,
since
coming
season
of
1.
age piece of it is a big draw. I think everybody likes the monsters and like the upside down, but the whole coming of age nostalgia piece and like I don't know, just those characters. I think that's like,
I think that's more of what like I'm in it for.
Yeah.
I like the spooky
I think you
stuff,
think
but-
you're in it for one thing, and then you're like, wait, this is actually just like really good and like a good story, and like I love these kids, like
Yeah, I'm still mad that Nancy picks Jonathan over Steve.
I know, so stupid.
Doesn't make
Like,
sense.
come on. Also, like,
Farrah Fawcett hairspray.
yeah. Like, you think that it's just about, like, the monsters, but then in, like, the last scene of season 3, can I say a spoiler? I feel like we're okay now,
Yeah.
right? So, like, Billy dies a horrific death, and then, like, the next scene is Max singing a song with Lucas, and I was like, you'd be upset right now. This is not realistic. Show me the sadness.
Yeah. They do have like a lot of fun with that show too. Like the Never-Ending Story. Like, what other show has you like fighting monsters and then, like, can you imagine that in Lovecraft? You'd be
Right.
like,
Yeah.
what?
Like if they just broke into like a 50s pop song.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Like they take other liberties with like, oh, this is a book that just happened to be here. Like they do that stuff, which actually maybe they meant to do all along with all that stuff, but it doesn't matter.
Watch season 2.
Yeah. Lovecraft's great. But like Stranger Things can like be silly because of the kids and like all that stuff, but also be like very intense and serious and action packed. So it's,
Yeah. So
we're
it exceeds the hype from all of us.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, we have Big Mouth from 2017, still going.
For me, this hits me right in my funny bone. I heard it was the same thing. It was like someone in my life was like, watch Big Mouth, please. And I watched it, and it was funnier than I could have imagined. And the hormone monsters themselves are perfect.
So fun. Well, everyone can relate to this show. Like every adult. Because they went through puberty and like remember the craziness
and also remember being like, why isn't anyone telling me what's happening? Like,
oh, it's so funny. I have to say, this was one of those shows I started, I think, twice, and like watched an episode and then stopped. I didn't like take right off. I don't know why, but I don't know if there wasn't enough hype for me, maybe, because I like watched a little bit, then stopped, and then just recently, like, binged the whole rest of it, like, and it's incredible. So I guess maybe I'm just saying that the hype kind of started low for me, another slow burn, and then has built.
Yeah, I don't really remember even like hearing about it leading up to it or seeing anything. I just was a big Nick Kroll fan.
Yeah.
Because he used to have a sketch show called The Kroll Show.
Yeah.
And a lot of the voices and characters he did in that are in Big Mouth.
Right.
So I knew him from that, and I just heard, like, I think on Instagram that he had an animated show coming out. So I was like, oh, I'll have to, like, check it out because I like him. And then I never really heard about it, and then I kind of waited for someone else. Like, I think one of my friends finally watched it and was like, oh, no, it's, like, actually funny. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so it was, like, the same thing. It was, like, a very slow thing. And then I feel like a month later, suddenly everyone was talking about it. And I think it was like the shock value. Everyone was like, oh,
Totally.
I started this show and like, what the heck is going on?
It goes wild. And it has musical interludes in that one too.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
It does whatever
yeah.
it wants. It's incredible.
Also, like, it was at a time that Mulaney and Kroll were doing a Broadway show called Too Much Tuna, where they played two old guys who had a guest, and it was all improv, and the guest had to sit in front of a gigantic tuna sandwich. And that was, so like that was building, and they were like together, and then they did this show. It's so, it totally exceeded the hype for me.
Yeah, I think me too.
I think I just bought the hype.
Okay, that's fair.
That could have been one.
All right, so should we just keep chugging along then?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's get to what everyone wants. The next segment.
All right.
GDK.
Space Force, which came out last year in 2020. I'll say the Rotten Tomatoes score last, because I feel like this one did have a lot of hype.
This had tons of hype.
So much, because it was announced, I feel like, a year before like a trailer even came out. I think you mentioned it like beginning of last year.
Yeah.
And it was advertised as like the
concept's hilarious.
yeah, and it was like Greg Daniels and Steve Carell are reuniting, and it's gonna be like, basically they were kind of making it be like, oh, like you loved The Office, you're gonna love this show.
Because they can swear, and like
Yeah.
John Malkovich is in it,
Yeah.
and not Jason, what's his name?
Oh,
John Ralphio.
yeah.
He's in it, and it's like, it's teetering on the edge of the pipe. Like, it's there. There was some funny stuff. I would go with it was all right.
Yeah.
I think a 38 on Rotten Tomatoes is a tad harsh,
yeah, me too.
but
I wonder if I didn't love Steve Carell for The Office and other things he's been in and all that, if that was some nobody, like, I wonder if I would have even like liked it as much as to say it was all right. You know what I mean? Like,
or do you think you would have been less disappointed if everyone didn't have the history of The Office with these two?
maybe.
I think Steve Carell's in a tough situation when it comes to comedies, that if you're doing a comedy, everyone just wants to see Michael Scott. So like some of his serious stuff has been good, but his comedies since The Office have been,
Yeah.
And
Michael
I feel
Scott
like,
was just such a good character.
yeah.
yeah. But then on like the same hand too, it's like if he had just been like Michael Scott, I feel like a lot of people would have been like, oh, like he's just being the same character.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Yeah.
have fit either.
Yeah, like it wouldn't have made sense in the show.
He's kind of in a rock and a hard place because
Well, what's
it is, yeah.
tough here is like he's not necessarily like the funny guy in this series. He's almost like the straight character, and then like his assistant was hysterical.
Yeah.
Was his name Jeffrey or something?
Yeah, I think the guy with the mustache.
Yeah. And then John Ralphio was funny because they just hated him.
Yeah.
And then like the fact that the Air Force and the Space Force had like a weird like tension was funny. John Malkovich was funny, but I think it was tough because it was like Steve Carell's going to be the funniest thing, and he didn't have that funny of a part.
Yeah.
And I feel like Greg Daniels' dry humor worked when it was supposed to be a mockumentary. And I feel like I feel like Space Force was pretty dry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like for maybe some people, it didn't land as well because it wasn't set up like a documentary where like in real life people are like dry with each other.
Right,
and it
right,
makes
right.
sense to do like an underhand
Yeah.
comment, but
Yeah.
And then there's also the fact that like it's based off something in politics that people thought was like ridiculous.
yeah.
And it's like that's tough to like some people just can't get past that. It's
Right.
like this is stupid because it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And if you love the real life Space Force,
Right.
the show might make you angry.
Yeah. Certain things like Boots on the Moon, 2021. That's an actual quote from POTUS. It's like, that's funny. Like, that is super funny.
Or like the running joke of, for most of the show, you don't know why his wife is in jail.
Yeah.
And he'll call her and she'll like imply that she's like been cheating on him the whole time she's in there. And she's like, all right, well, I missed you, honey. And then like she has like cornrows. It's like Phoebe from Friends.
Yeah.
It did have its funny parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with that amount of hype and then what it actually delivered, I'm going down the pipe.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Unfortunately. But a big part of it was the hype was huge.
right. That's it. Just
Well, sometimes you don't want too much hype.
right.
Like we got to be careful with JVK. We don't want to ruin it for ourselves.
GVK.
GVK, yes, that's what I said.
Nothing could make this movie not fantastic. Okay, so The Witcher. I have not seen The Witcher, so I don't think that I can comment on this.
I made it 2 episodes in, I think, and then stopped. It's a lot of mythology and
Yeah,
stuff for me.
it was a lot of that. This was your classic sci-fi fantasy action. Romance.
Okay,
Some say it had everything. No, I watched it. I liked it. I thought it was for that genre, like fun and very good. And as far as Netflix originals go, it was like on par with that. It kind of hit fast, as far as rather than a slow burn. It was like for 2 weeks, The Witcher was the show, and then
Yeah, so that's what this hype was like that dropped on Netflix, everyone talked about it for 2 weeks, and it's like, okay, we have short
I feel like
memory spans.
there might have been some other things around it that had similar, like other shows that had similar things, and it was like, oh, this is the next one. Like, I kind of remember that.
In the video game fans.
Well, that's what I
Oh,
want to know,
yeah.
how like Witcher video game fans feel about it.
I have never seen the video game or.
Yeah, I just like, I'm interested because that's like the real, when you get fandom involved, look out. Like, so I'd be interested to see how they
Right.
think of it.
My brother liked it, and he played all the video games.
Oh, cool.
But I don't know like how much he like really cares about like the story of the video game.
Like, he walked out of Solo and was like, that was fine, but it doesn't make sense, right? Didn't he say something
Yeah.
like that? So he like cares about that fandom.
yeah. But he really liked The Witcher. And it came right on the end of Game of Thrones, kind of, didn't it? Like a few months
Oh,
later. So I feel like for a lot of people, it
Maybe
was
that,
like,
yeah.
that's-
And so I remember it being like a fresh new something that like hit really quick, and then was like, all right, cool.
yeah. And it dropped all at once, didn't it? So
Yeah.
I feel like everyone for 2 weeks was like, I watched it. I watched
Yeah.
the 5 episodes of The Witcher.
Yeah.
Great.
It was
Moving
really
on.
good if you like fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah.
So I only saw 2 episodes, so I'm not gonna pass judgment on it of like down the pipe or whatever. I don't think
I'm gonna say it was good, but it was all right, and based on how the hype was quick, and how like it was pretty good, that makes it all right. If like there was way more hype, like Space Force or Stranger Things, I'd be like, that didn't quite match.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I wonder what they'll do with season 2 now, because that's coming out at some point.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they'll like promote it. Like,
Right. I mean, I'd be excited to watch another season of it.
Queen's Gambit.
This one I haven't seen.
Mm.
So down the pipe. No. So you guys can hash that one out.
Okay. So you're actually the first person who told me about it. But you didn't like super hype it up. You just like described the plot.
He's good about that. He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you should go check this thing out. It's pretty good. And you're like, whoa, that was a great show. What?
But then like it's almost like as soon as one person mentions it, it seems like the whole world suddenly starts
Yeah.
talking to you about it. Because immediately I saw everywhere that it was like the greatest show of 2020. Like it like saved people from the pandemic. Like it was like the savior of 2020, and I was like, whoa, this show is gonna
That's
be
a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
insane. It was all right.
Nice.
I would put it at by the hype, but not to the point of like how like people did describe it.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. It's funny to see the like child actors as adults that were in it. Like Anna Taylor-Joy I saw in The Witch,
Oh, yeah.
but nothing before that. But then to see Dudley Dursley grown up and
Wait. Is that the guy who like her first
yes.
match? That's him?
Yeah, like with the funky teeth, he fixes his teeth.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's Dudley Dursley. And then the little kid from Love Actually.
Is that the blonde guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Maze Runner. He was in Maze Runner.
Okay, I haven't seen Maze Runner. But have you seen Love Actually? Yes.
Yes.
Rom-com. The little kid that like
Feel
plays the
it in
drums.
my fingers.
The little kid that plays the drums.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson's son.
Nice.
He's in it. And he's like a main character. And it's like, oh, it's funny to see these people like grown up. And the story was cool. And it was how it was shot was cool. Like when she like plans the games out in her head in bed and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like seeing the whole, what was it, like 60s-ish vibe of it was cool. And it was like good, really good. But like, I like Stranger Things better. And for what it is, I like Big Mouth better. But I did see that the person in charge of it had been trying to get it made for 9 years and like wouldn't sell it to anyone, wouldn't give it up, and then finally made it, which was really cool.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm buying the hype. I'm not going to say it exceeded it, but maybe I heard too much about it before I started watching it.
Yeah. I think too, like, I'm just impressed that whoever wrote this show knows as much as they do about chess. So I feel like that there was like a lot of little parts that I guess I do buy that. Like it deserves all of the
Yeah.
Didn't like chess
Love.
like sets and like
they sold out.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everywhere. It was crazy.
Well, it's funny. Like the topic
Get the people going.
that I heard a lot out of it was like, do you know how to play chess?
No.
And I was like, I know how the pieces move, and I could play a game, but no strategy at all.
No.
I know, yeah, it's like, I know what they do, but I don't know how to do it. Like, strategic.
Right.
Which was like, I'm sure a huge thing after was people were buying books on like, what was the thing? It was it was a strategy they talked about the whole show.
Isn't one of the strategies the Queen's Gambit?
Yes, that is one. But there is the Sicilian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
That's pretty cool that they named the show
yeah, well,
strategy of chess.
it was a novel first. It was adapted from a novel. So,
You've got a
Imagine
wealth of
reading-
knowledge on the Queen's Gambit.
well, I heard a lot about it.
That novel I feel like could be boring.
Yes. Yeah.
Because so much of what they say it would be boring if they didn't do like the cool visuals with it. If it was just her talking about it, I'd be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Totally.
This.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad it was a mini series or limited series, whatever they call it. I don't want a second season of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how they could.
So you're buying in. There was a lot of hype on that one.
I buy in.
Post hype.
I would like recommend it to you to watch it.
That's buying it. Yeah, nice.
Especially for what it's about. I'm buying the hype, I guess. Yeah, so I'm changing my mind.
You
I
make
bought
chess
the hype.
relevant.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
and like actually interesting.
And like they play chess games for like 15-minute like scenes. It's like, okay, did a good job here.
My mom was like, I like the sounds of them moving and hitting the clock. So when it goes on for like 10 minutes, she's like, this is relaxing. All right. So that was all of our shows. Let's move on. Big event. Godzilla vs. Kong.
Whoa.
Trailer dropped
And
last
it
weekend.
was excellent.
So I feel like we should watch. Do we want to watch the trailer of Godzilla King of Monsters?
I want to watch King Kong punch Godzilla with a mean right hook. right across the face. Sorry.
So no.
Yes, no, we should watch it. We gotta dissect
Frame by frame.
the new trailer, but I think it might be helpful to dip back and just
Do a little
rattle the
comparison.
memory of the previous 2019.
Our world is changing. The mass extinction we feared has already begun, and we are the cause. We are the infection. But like all living organisms, the Earth unleashed a fever to fight this infection. Its original and rightful rulers, the Titans. For thousands of years, these creatures have remained in hiding around the world. And unless all the Titans are found, our planet will perish, and so will we. They are the only guarantee that life will carry on.
You are out of your goddamn mind!
I am sorry, but this is the only way.
You're a monster. I'm sorry.
Long live the king.
Just keeps going at the end.
Whoa.
Do we want to talk about this one first, or should it?
We should do
Both of them?
do both of them, and
Alright.
then
Okay.
we can compare.
This is our only chance. We have to take it. We need Kong. The world needs him to stop what's coming. And this child, she's the only one he'll communicate with.
I knew that they had a bond. She had nowhere to go, so I made a promise to protect her. And I think that in some way, Kong did the same. It's Godzilla.
These are dangerous times.
Godzilla's out there and he's hurting people and we don't know why.
There's something provoking him that we're not seeing here.
I'm of the same opinion.
The myths are real. There was a war. They're the last ones standing.
I keep reaching for greatness because I'm built from it.
Who bows to who?
Nobody gonna stop for me. Here we go.
Kong bows to no one.
Here we go.
And again.
Just keep
Fill
watching it.
up.
So I feel like you're a
Straight
Kong fan.
Fire. I think I might be.
I think you're a Kong guy.
Oh, I'm Team Kong. I just realized.
Just from the sound effects I'm hearing during the trailer, I think it's safe to
This is
say.
always what it's like watching.
Oh,
like if you
man.
go to an action movie with him in the theater, and you get there for the previews, which he will make a stink if you don't.
You gotta.
And it's
We
just
talked
like,
about that on the show.
oh man, oh, the whole time.
Like bass sound.
Yeah, and I give a little cheers too, like right hook. Oh wow! Where do you start with all that?
That's a great question. Should we start with the music?
I think we
You
have.
guys have an issue with the music. I didn't even notice.
It was literally the first thing I noticed. As soon as I watched the trailer, I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And then as soon as the punch happens and then the singer comes in, I was like, come on, what's going on?
I think I might have been distracted.
Let's go with a little Linkin Park wannabe rock hip hop mix.
Yeah, it's yeah.
And then not that you
avant-garde.
would think to compare it to the first one, like, you don't have to do that, but we are. Like, the first one has just, like, instrumental music, but then there was a second trailer that was released for King of Monsters, and it was Somewhere Over the Rainbow was playing.
Wow.
And it was just so good, because it's, like, the exact opposite of the things that are happening in the movie. So, I love trailers, and
Trailers are interesting.
King of Monsters was pretty solid with their trailers.
I like the teasers you get out of trailers. You know what I mean? Like the stuff, like you were saying, we don't know, but there might be some kind of mecha Godzilla. Mechanical.
Yes. Oh, did you have a comment on the music first?
No,
I
I
thought I
agree.
cut it
Like
off.
it was just like
So
over
are
the
we good
top.
with the music, over the top.
Yes.
So the big thing with the first one was Godzilla was kind of like the good guy
Yes.
because the Titans were all haywire because they were listening to the bad wannabe king.
Ghidorah or
Yes.
something? Yeah.
And then they had to fight, and everyone was like, "No, all right, Godzilla, you are the guy. Like, we're good." And everything goes back to
May I interject there? Was it he was the good guy, or Godzilla's got a huge ego,
sure.
And-
Call it what you want.
and he's like, no, I am king.
But they like asked him to come. They,
I
like,
have to watch the
provoked him
movie
out of-
because is there like a call? Do you put up a big monster symbol in the
kind
spot?
of-
Like, hey, we need you.
I mean, I don't want to like say all of it to you, but
I
they
know, I
know.
give you a very brief.
They know where the spot is that he usually is like around.
Okay.
And they basically do the monster equivalent of like knocking on his door.
Okay.
And they're like, "We got trouble brewing."
Yeah.
So,
And he just gets it.
yeah.
All right. Okay.
And so now this one sounds like our good guy from the last one has gone a little haywire, or maybe it's
He's back
an
to his
imposter,
nature.
but something's going on, and he needs to be stopped. And how do you stop Godzilla? King Kong.
And Billy Bobby Brown.
Yes.
Godzilla is a destroyer of cities.
Yeah, but it's the new MonsterVerse.
Can't change legend.
So the theory is that it's not really Godzilla versus Kong. It's Kong versus Mecha Godzilla, but no one knows that it's Mecha Godzilla, and that's why like Millie is like, "Oh, what's making him act so strange?" Because she knows him so well,
Right.
and it could be like,
As
oh,
any human would
he's-
have with,
yeah.
with a monster.
like he's not acting strange. It's not actually him. So like maybe the real Godzilla isn't
like
in
that.
the beginning part, and he joins later.
And Coach Taylor comes in and is like, Godzilla's killing people. We don't know why,
He's hurting people.
Yeah,
yes.
big line he had in the trailer.
but
We don't know.
watch Godzilla. He's a destroyer of cities.
He's a monster.
And it looked like Kong. So what do you think about Kong? Is he like being captured and brought, or it seemed like he was pretty peaceful on the boat there?
It did.
Well, then
Also, how do
maybe
you capture King Kong? You must
maybe
have
they
had to
used the little
recently.
girl. As the little girl they're moving her from Skull Island to apparently San Francisco or something.
Right.
And
Closer to Godzilla.
right.
Yeah.
But and he's like, I'll go where she goes.
But were
protect
they
her.
purposely like baiting him? Because one of the guys is like, we need Kong. So is it like
How do you
we-
get him to like submit to the chains and then like?
the little girl just guys
She's-
just
No, they did it. They've done it. There's been 2 King Kong movies where they've been able to bring him to New York. So it's just a matter of like knocking him out.
Just put your notes at the grindstone.
Yeah, you just gotta.
Figured it out.
The right chemicals will knock out even King Kong.
Just subdue him for a little bit.
But I mean, they struggled in Skull Island, and he was smaller in that one.
Yeah, he was the
They
team.
could
We found out.
barely control him, and now he's like
So I think he comes willingly to help.
with the little girl.
Right.
She's gonna be big.
But also, not to be. What kind of ship did they build to carry King Kong?
I look like a barge. You're a normal barge.
You think a normal barge could hold King Kong?
Well, it depends on
Like
how
a
big he is.
surfboard.
Like military grade.
Yeah, like an aircraft carrier.
And then you're okay if Godzilla jumps up there too, and they just kind
I
of.
know they were fighting on it. It seemed pretty steady.
I mean,
I feel like that would go. Whoop.
maybe.
Were the people on the boat with Kong just like watching from the
The
boat?
people on the boat, they gone.
Yeah.
They're done. That blue light.
Yeah, that's why you gotta watch. You gotta figure out all the blue light business.
Well, I saw someone made a little side-by-side when Godzilla is shooting the blue light at King Kong and he's coming at him with what looks like some sort of sledgehammer. It's like a parallel of what Thor is doing to Thanos with Stormbreaker at one point. It's the same
That's
exact
why we
thing.
love it.
You thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Well, if you watch Godzilla, you find out that Kong is a fan of the Avengers.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there's a lot to find out.
There's a lot of character building that you just missed if you don't watch
Now,
it.
may I
Cross
ask
universes.
this? In the 1932 and 2005 versions,
Oh goodness.
We don't know those. We're talking about
1932.
the new MonsterVerse.
Kong's dead. He dies. He's climbing the Empire State Building, gets shot down, and dies. Is this his son? His nephew? His daughter?
I think it's
I don't think.
restart.
Yeah, I think that those.
Skull
movies-
Island, he grew up there. That's all.
Oh, I saw Skull Island, and I thought, I didn't know. Like, I think we're just,
Maybe that was his prequel or something.
yeah, maybe it's his prequel, because those 2 original King Kong movies just took place in present day. So, like, 2005 was 2005. Just, how's he alive? That's what I want to know.
I think those movies are like erased.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a new take.
All right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of world building going on, and we're forgetting a lot of movies. If we're forgetting those 2 King Kong movies and the Godzilla movie from 7 years ago.
But I think that one is in this world. I think that.
It's just like standalone.
Yeah, I feel like story-wise, they don't take anything from it.
Okay.
But because I think they reference like some of the scientists from that movie.
Bryan Cranston, Heisenberg.
And I think there might be like a small character who was in both movies who's like in it, but you wouldn't know unless you were like probably a big fan of the
Yeah.
2014 one. I just saw it on like IMDb and I was like, oh.
I saw it in the theater, and I just remember Godzilla and Bryan Cranston and things blowing up.
That's what it's about.
He's like not really in it though, right? It's
He doesn't make it. Bryan Cranston.
no, I mean like isn't Godzilla not really shown a lot in it? Isn't it more of kind of
The movie doesn't stick out in my head. Didn't make that much of a lasting impression.
That's why we gotta We gotta follow these guys.
We have to have a movie phone. The other thing I had researched and heard about was that maybe, do you remember how they could kind of communicate with the like Titans and Godzilla last one? I saw a thing that maybe like another theory would be that Godzilla's being like provoked by the humans, like
You're sick of them.
Tapped into
doing what
that.
humans do and messing things up, and they've got Godzilla like they're communicating with him and like pissing him off somehow, and he's like lost his way, but because he's been being manipulated, and he's like whatever, and then that's why they need Kong to slow him down or stop him.
March can't come fast enough.
Yeah. So that was just the other. I wrote it down. It's the other like theory maybe was that those humans contacting and tricking him somehow.
Which I feel like would kind of have a few tie-ins to King of Monsters, because there were some humans that like didn't have great intentions.
Right. Yeah. So somebody's like got an organization that's trying to control the monsters and use them for bad and da 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 da. So Kong and the good guys are going to come in and set him straight.
So
with right hooks.
Team Kong.
TBD. I'm gonna have to watch Godzilla King of the Monsters.
I mean, I feel like I guess I'm Team Kong just because he's the underdog in the situation.
Yeah.
And he's like, I mean, Godzilla was nice in
But,
the last one, but
Kong bows to no one, so.
Yeah.
That's true.
Kong is like genuinely, I feel like, kind of a good guy.
Yeah.
He was minding his own business, and then
Yeah.
people came and captured him.
He
Yeah.
was nice to Brie Larson.
Yeah. And this other little girl,
This little
Gia.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But Godzilla had a connection with Millie Bobby Brown, so.
Yeah. I liked Godzilla in the last one.
Me too.
He was good. And he's really big and pretty cool too.
Mm-hmm.
He's really cool.
The lizard.
Also, not to mention, today's day and age with the special effects, I mean, you saw the Lion King live action, right?
Mm.
That was incredible. And that was like real nature, but all done on a computer. This is, I mean, it's just crazy how realistic they can make things. And so you've got now a giant lizard monster king and a giant ape, like, but it looks like what it would really look like if it could ever be real. And it's just incredible.
Do you think there's any wiggle room here from either it being like, this was like a really good action movie to, wow, that was terrible? Do you think there's any like middle road?
Well, so I feel like it's a specific flavor. You know what I mean?
Like monsters and...
Yeah, and like Transformers. Like I'm like, oh, I love the Transformers movies, but like the acting isn't the best. I mean, Millie Bobby Brown's great, so maybe, but like, and some of those actors are good, but like, I guess I'm not expecting. I don't go into these expecting that like the story or the thing. Like as long as the story makes sense about why they're fighting, and like it's like pretty. You know what I mean? Like pretty good as far as all that goes. Then
You're
the
just in
fun
it for
part
the
is you got them-
CGI monsters.
Yeah, I mean, really, like, what else are you in it for? You know what I mean? Like, it's Kong versus Godzilla, two huge monsters fighting.
Yeah. It's right in the
So,
title.
If you like want like a cinematic masterpiece, like
Maybe not.
it's not your But as far as cinematic masterpieces go with monsters and like amazing CGI, then yes, it is.
I feel like this is like the biggest example of like no one cares if it's a good movie. People are gonna like it, kind of no matter what.
Yeah.
And I looked up a bunch of reviews because spoiler alert, the letterboxd review today is Godzilla, and all of the reviews were like, they'd be like, "Oh, this was so stupid," but 5 stars because like this was so much fun. Like it's genuinely people that are like, "I hate that I watched this, but like it was awesome."
Exactly.
That's one of the
There's
things.
got to be a little. There's got to be something to say. Sorry for like the thrill in it of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's maybe not a crazy scenario. Like, I don't know.
I did see that people were like, movie theaters or movie production companies are struggling if this movie doesn't go to a movie theater. The sole purpose of this is to come out in the summer. You pay $15 when you have nothing to do on like a Friday night. and you see it, and it makes
It's
$500 million.
loud and it's
Yeah.
explosive.
It's like, why, instead of a 70-foot screen, it's on your 55-inch TV, people are like, that's not what this is made for.
Yeah.
It was one of the cooler like movie experiences. For like the sound alone,
Yeah.
it was so loud, but it was so exciting.
That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
it's a thrill. It's a thrill ride. That's what you're in it for.
Yeah.
So if that's what you're going into it thinking, then like if you go in and you're like, oh, like this was
Like, what's the
yeah.
what's the word? Mythology of this.
Yeah, or like so and so, like I didn't believe what they were like. Okay, sure, doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah. I only saw it because Millie Bobby Brown was in it.
yeah.
And I left being like, oh, but that was actually like a good
What
movie.
a time I just had.
Like I was like, I don't even like. I would have seen it if she wasn't in it.
Oh man.
So March, right? March
Yeah. I don't
21st
remember
or
the
something?
exact- Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we'll have a
So it
countdown.
moved up, but we really should.
Just follow us on Instagram, and we'll just have a GVK.
GVK.
Yeah, because we plan on having an episode about this, right?
Oh, it's streaming.
I think we got to.
Yeah.
You can
We gotta
stream
watch
it.
all the movies, not the ones from like the 30s, but.
Hey, I watched the original King Kong over quarantine.
Oh wow. So you can talk about that one, and we'll talk about this universe.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Fire it up.
So, just to tie in with the theme, the Letterboxd review of the week is for Godzilla King of Monsters. And it says, Millie, turn around, Ghidorah is behind you. Oh God, she can't hear us, she has AirPods in. It was the most random one, and it made me laugh, so
Oh
that's
man,
it.
I love it.
All right, so we'll see you next week on Stream It.